What was the objective of the North Shore Regiment that first day?
Well, we took the Saint-Aubin-sur-Mer. Go over, and then it was night by the time we were finished there, clean anyway. And then we dug out there the trenches, and then we stayed there for the night.
Was there any German counterattack that first day?
No. Actually, we didn't get too much trouble with them there for about a week there. They were going in very good there. Things were. Actually, we were ahead at where we were supposed to be there for the first week there. And then we weren't supposed to stay there. We were only there for like taking the part of France and then going back and retrain for some other mission. That's what the objective was. But it turned out that the English regiment that was supposed to take our place from England, when they came in, we were ahead of the place we were supposed to be. And we were all in the part of woods there. We were all in there. And the first thing they came in, they thought that we were German. And they opened fire on us. By the time that it was over, there wasn't enough men in that outfit to take our place. We had a lot of money. We didn't lose too many men. And then we stayed with French. We just kept on going.
Do you remember, Mr. Comeau, your first engagement?
You mean, well, I remember when I landed in France there, actually I was in charge of a section there. I was a corporal, and I had 6 men under mine. We just kept going in. But that was 2 weeks, and then we got a rest 24 hours rest.
So that first 2 weeks, the resistance was light in front of you?
Yeah. Actually, the real big resistance that we got is when we got close to Kent. At Kent, there was a big airport there. And when we got closer, we were getting more. Okay. Yeah.
After that first initial 2 weeks, after D-Day, you were taken out for a rest?
Yeah, we just moved back. There was another outfit that went at our place, and we went back and changed clothes, and then got back.
At that time, Mr. Comeau, you were able to assess the casualties of the regiment.
Yeah.
Were there many men that were casualties?
Yeah, there was quite a few. I don't remember the amount there, but there was quite a few. I lost quite a few men. Snipers, you know. Yeah.
How long was the regiment in reserve?
Well, we were only there 24 hours, 48 hours. 48 hours. Yeah.
And then you pushed on to the Carpiquet airport.
Yeah.
What was the fighting like there?
That was awful.
Why were they resisting so strongly there?
Well, they wanted to keep the airport. And there was some kind of mixed up there. Battle. I don't know if I should talk about it. But we lost a lot of men on account of our own fire. There was quite a few men. I lost 6 men there when
Mr. Comeau, you were just talking to me about the fighting before the Carpiquet airport outside of Caen.
Well, you see, when they start firing 50 feet behind us, and then they lift up 50 feet after so many minutes or seconds.
Excuse me, just before you begin. So you're advancing toward the airport, and you're supposed to advance behind the artillery?
That's right. And then, actually, we were stopped there. See, that's where we were starting from. And then And then we were supposed to follow the artillery so many feet behind it. But it just happened that the shell came right on us. We lost quite a few men.
In your section, how many men did you lose?
I lost six men.
Out of how many?
Up to six. At 7, I was the only one left. Yeah. So we kept on going ahead just the same, but it wasn't long there before I got some reinforcement. Because I wasn't the only one that had lost men. I mean, the other section was the same. And we got replacement there, and then we kept going. And when we got, there was a big orchard in front of us, and there was a big fence wired in there. And we couldn't go through it unless we get the tank in. And we had to wait there for a while. And they were shelling again. I imagine they were a German dead. So a tank came in and she busted a few holes there in the fence. And we went into the orchard. There was quite a few Germans there, snipers. So we cleaned that up. After we were in, we went through the orchard, and then we got a counterattack. Then the Germans, they came close to pushing us out altogether. But we reversed it, and then we got into camp. Well, I was wounded then. I went back, and somebody else took my place there.
How were you wounded, Mr. Comeau?
In the legs. I got a bullet in the chest, and shrapnel in behind my legs here, and a bullet across my leg here. And
was that in the fighting
yeah.
before Con or in Con?
Well, no, just before Canada. That was the time that he came in. We got a counterattack. It was heavy fighting there.
Were many other casualties?
Oh yes, there were a lot of casualties. Yeah. Actually, when I came back, I went as far as that fence there. And it was in Owensfield that we went through that morning when we first started. And you could see more rifles sticking up, sitting out.
That indicated that there was a man down.
Yeah.
Ah, mais j'ai pas de...
Dead man. There was no more wounded yet. He had been picked up dead.
Where were you taken to get medical care?
From there, I don't remember too much of it there, actually. Gangrene got in my leg, and I passed out there. The only thing I remember is when they took me on a stretcher, put me on the small jeep there. That was about all of it I remember. And once I came to, we were on the beach in Saint-Aubin, waiting for a boat to go across the England. And then I passed out again. And when I came to, it was 2 weeks after I was in England then. It was sort of funny when I came to, we were in England, and this doctor came over, got talking with me, and he asked me, he said, "Where are you from?" I said, I didn't think about saying Canada, I just said New-Brunswick. "Oh, you're German," he said, and I jumped up and grabbed the doctor, hit him in the face. Of course, I didn't hurt him too much because I was too weak. But, he said, he told me, he said, "You're a Canadian?" Or I told him I'm a Canadian. Okay. But I had a lot of problems from then on. Because blood poison was in that leg, and They had put a cast. I mean, I wasn't the only wounded there. They were busy. And they put me in this little room, the dark room that they call it. Just before you died, that's where you went there. And I knew about it. But, and I knew what was wrong with me, but I couldn't tell them. Because I could hear the stuff going in my legs there. And I could hear it, like when your bowel moved there, you know. Yeah, it was, every once in a while I'll hear it. And I was in cast way up to here. And it just happened that when the nurse, the door always closed and it was dark in there. And there was a book there on a small table beside me. And the nurse came in and I threw the book at her. And she came in, she was very cross and that. So I showed to her, showed my legs. And she bent down, as she was bent down there, she could hear it. Then right away, she went out, she took me out, opened up my gate. She finally saved it. But they had sent a wire home then that I was dead. They didn't think that I would go through me. Right after, a couple of days after, they got another diagram. I was still alive. Yeah. But I didn't go to action after that.
How long were you in hospital?
I was about 9 months in the hospital altogether there.
Were you in the hospital when you heard that the war had ended?
No, I was out then. I was an instructor in Aldershot. When I was doing my convalescence there, but they sent me to Aldershot. And I was on training young fellow that was coming from Canada there. Give them the basic training.
What was your impression of those young recruits coming over from Canada at that time?
Well, a lot of them didn't like it, I think. They were all conscript, forced to go in there. Especially in Quebec, we had a hard time with them. They didn't want to learn anything. So, but we used to keep them there for 3 weeks with us there. Give them all the training we could. Then we sent them in front. But a lot of them got killed in the lack of training. So they're hard to see them go on there.
Was it hard to see them go because you knew their hearts were in it?
That's right. But we had no choice.
What was your feeling dealing with those men that were conscripts?
I couldn't figure it out why that he didn't want to fight. Because actually we had done it, and then, we thought everybody else was for the same. I wasn't the only one either that felt that way. We used to get mad at them because they didn't want to go into hell.
Did it make it difficult for you with the other English-speaking soldiers?
No.
They knew that you were a veteran and that you were a wounded man. What was your reaction, Mr. Comeau, when you heard that the war had ended?
I was glad. Oh, yes, I was glad. Really glad.
How long was it before you were able to reunite with the men of the North Shore Regiment?
Not before, until we met here.
So you were sent home separately?
Yeah. I came across on the Red Cross ship. And there was a row of key there, they came on a regular ship. But it didn't take us too long to come back. We came back in 4 days across. We were well treated. Good food.
When did you land in Halifax?
I got here about the 8th of June, July. No, the 8th of June. 8th of June.
Did you see any evidence of the Halifax riots?
No.
Did you stay long in Halifax?
No. Halifax, that's all we did. We got off the boat on the train.
How long was it before you were back in Bathurst?
Only took what it did.
What was the reaction when you saw your father?
Well, I was pretty glad. We were all glad.
Did he tell you about the telegram that he received?
Oh, yes. Yeah. My sister there, the younger brother. He was happy.
Your older brother, the one that was in the service with you, was he still overseas?
No. He was wounded there. He came home before me. He was wounded there.
So both brothers, both you and he, were wounded.
Yeah.
Mr. Comeau, looking back on your experience with the North Shore Regiment in World War II, what effect did that experience have on you in later life?
Well, I don't imagine it made a big difference. I was wounded there for a few years. I had a hard time to work there, and then I was getting a pay. It seemed to me that it just kept rolling there, and we just got adjusted to the life, civil life, and just kept on going at it. Put everything behind us. But that was quite a few years in it. I used to wake up at night thinking about it.
Do you still wake up or dream about it?
Sometimes. It depends what happened there. If something happens that, sort of get your nerves or something there, that night I will dream about it.
When you think back, Mr. Comeau, on about the men that you served with, the men that were in your section, the men that formed part of the North Shore Regiment, what do you think about when you think of those men?
Well, I mean, the only thing I can say about them is they were good fellows to work with and all this, and I'm sort of sorry that they're gone, but it was all in a lifetime. I mean, it's war. You can't expect to have a good time.
Are you proud of the service that you gave Canada and that the North Shore Regiment gave?
Yeah, I'm really proud of it. We can't ask for any better service. We did all what we could. And we're proud of it.
Is there a bond between you men still?
Oh, yes. We have a reunion there every year. But now a lot of them are gone. It's not like it was the first few years.
Mr. Comeau, when you think in terms of Canada's contribution to the victory in the Second World War, what do you think Canada's contribution was?
Well, I guess they're doing the best they can. It's a hard time. And I think they're doing pretty good.
If the circumstances were the same, Mr. Comeau, and you were a young man again, would you do what you did all over again?
I'll do everything the same. I won't change.
If you had the opportunity of speaking to young Canadians about duty and patriotism, what would you say to them?
Well, I tell them if their country ever need them, go right ahead. Stay back. I do go to school every year, before November the 11th, they're talking to children. They know what it's done now, but that's 20 years. A lot of the younger people, that's one thing I can't figure out in Canada here, is that they don't achieve. At school, they don't talk about war or anything else. I believe, when I was in France, I was talking to young fellas that were that high. They were going to school. They know more about the war than I did. Yeah. But here you don't see that. The only time that the kids know about war, anything about it, is when we go down in November to afternoon. A lot of them young fellas think that when we went to war, it's like we went to hunting or something. Yeah, that's all they know about war.
Well, hopefully they'll never have to find out for
That's
themselves.
right. Yeah, that's right.
Mr. Comeau, I want you to know that it's been a great honor and privilege to have spoken with you this morning. I want you to know, sir, that we appreciate the time you've taken to come and share some of your recollections. I want you to know that we appreciate very much the service that you gave Canada in World War II, and we certainly appreciate this service you've given to us today. Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome. I'm glad I could do it. Because if ever that we had another war, I wonder how it would go. It wouldn't be the same kind of war anyway. I mean, it's a different way of life there now than it was then. But I pity to do it and I have to.
Well, in every war that we've had since World War II, there's been infantrymen.
Yeah, please.
And that's not going to change.
They're going to have them. They're the only one that's feasible.
Is there anything that you can think of, Mr. Leopold, that we haven't talked about already that you might think that should be mentioned?
We'll recover the most part of it, yes.
Any good times that you remember that you...
Oh, yes, we had some good times. I mean, in England, we had bad times and good times. Oh, yes, we had a lot of fun there. In the tavern there.
In the North Shore Regiment, the Francophones and the Anglophones
They
cooperated?
Oh, yes, they got along fine.
All the Brunswickers?
Oh, yes. We never had any trouble there.
What do you think, Mr. Comeau, of the current problems in Canada involving unity?
Well, I mean, typical as that now.